Hey guys, today we're going to talk to you about how to safely set up and launch your kite from a beach. The first step is to assess the wind direction. We do that by turning our face into the wind and trying to balance the wind over both of our ears. Once we've done that, we can spread our arms out wide, which shows us where the edge of the wind window is. Now we've found the wind direction, we want to turn our back into the wind and lay our kite on the ground downwind of us. We now want to close our inflate-deflate valve. On this air rush lithium we're using today, it has a single point inflation system. Now we can attach the leash from our pump onto the leading edge of the kite to ensure the kite does not blow away while we're pumping. We now want to make sure there's no dirt or sand in the pump before we start inflating. Now we insert the pump nozzle into the valve and we begin to pump. While we're pumping, we're making sure that our struts are also inflating with our leading edge. If they're not, it could be a sign that the hose clamp is closed or that there's a kink in the hose. You also want to make sure that your bridle lines, the parts where the two center lines attach to your kite, aren't wrapped around the wingtip of your kite. A correctly inflated kite's leading edge should be difficult to fold over on itself. It should also not form creases when pushed upon. By putting our hand around the leading edge and keeping the leading edge facing into the wind in what we call the smiley face position, we can now move around the beach easily. Now we want to flip the kite over onto the beach safe position and put a couple of piles of sand on the canopy to weight it down. We then come behind the kite and we want to check to make sure our bridle lines are clear and organized correctly. We now lay our line ends underneath the canopy of the kite and walk away from the kite, unrolling our lines off the bar. Now we've completely rolled our lines out, we want to lay our bar correctly on the ground. Usually while flying the kite, the red line is on the left. However, we're going from behind the kite, this situation, so the red should be on the right. We want to make sure we have one steering line on each side of our body and the two center lines in between our legs. And we now walk away from the bar towards the kite while separating them, all four lines, with our hand. When we get to the end of the lines, we're going to lay the lines down, ensuring the steering lines are not twisted with the center lines. Then we can place a small pile of sand on the lines to ensure they don't blow away. The steering line attachment points and the center line attachment points are usually different. In this situation, our steering line attachments are knots and our center line attachment points are loops. To create the loop, we take the base of the loop itself and push it through on itself to create a lark's head knot. Now we slide the knot through the loop we've just created and cinch down just underneath the knot. Our lines are now attached, our kite looks good to go, so we can now think about launching our kite. So first we want to tighten down our harness and give a final check of the wind direction to make sure it hasn't shifted. We then only want to attach our leash to our safety line. Our assistant is now going to lift the kite up into the C shape, and we can hold on to our chicken loop in our hand and check to make sure all four of our lines are correctly organized and they're not going to snag on anything on the ground. When we know all our lines are clear and everything's good to go, we start walking slightly upwind. Now we can think about hooking our chicken loop up. Remember, the retainer pin wants to go underneath the chicken loop. In this situation, Zach hasn't walked far enough upwind, so there isn't enough tension in the lines or in the kite to allow it to fly properly. The next situation, Zach has actually walked too far upwind. And as you can see, the assistant is being really beaten around. It's difficult for him to stand up, and there's too much power in the kite. In this last scenario, Zach has found the exact right place to launch. Notice the canopy of the kite isn't flapping around, and our assistant, more importantly, isn't getting beaten up. Lastly, Zach gives a good thumbs up to the assistant to let him know to let go of the kite, and he heads into the water. Thanks for watching, guys. Please make sure you like and subscribe to our channel and stay tuned for more awesome videos.